communities, all are so varied and diverse. One agency cannot really address this. In fact, this one agency system has killed the education system. If you see NEET aspirants don't even really go to school. Middle class parents take pride in saying that, my child doesn't go to school at all because he or she, my child is preparing for NEET or JRE. So this borrowing of idea is
But Dr.
highly.
Latika, not just NEET. Not just
I'm
NEET,
talking
over
about all. I
20
just said
examinations are conducted by NTA.
yes, without
Yes,
any
and the
expertise,
National Testing
without.
Agency or authority has actually been questioned in terms of, the entire structural changes or functionality of this body has now been put on the radar. I mean, there is a high-level body which is now looking into what are the changes which are needed for the National Testing Agency to become more transparent. But the question is, soon after that report is submitted, that we'll get to know how soon the entire process will be cleaned up. But because right now there is a hearing which is going on in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is also highlighting the fact that, and has questioned the government rather, that was the leak localized. My question is, can a leak be localized really?
No, and especially in today's day of, day and age of digital media, it can never be, we can never be complacent or overconfident it was a localized need. And how do you really assess that it was a localized need, a leak? Do you trust the ones who were corrupt? Are we trusting their word that, I gave the paper to only 20 or these 20 or these 30? It's really a very complex situation, and we shouldn't be smug, we shouldn't congratulate ourselves, we shouldn't satisfy ourselves by saying that this was a leak which was only in Patna or here or there. One center in Haryana was also compromised for whatever problems, conduct problems. But Maria, without naming these issues, because I work with young people, I work with students at the university, I want to
Yes.
say that there have been such personalized reports in the last 5 years. When you go with computer tests, there are people who impersonate, and state governments have actually caught them, but they're not talked about widely. And so this report that it is only this year is not really a good report. It has been happening. There are many other exams in which the conducting agencies, the systems, the sangatans had said they knew, people knew inside those systems that this had happened, but they kept quiet. So we need a much detailed investigation. The investigation has to really create a much wider network, that how many professional level exams, the educational level exams have, fallen victim to this idea that one agency can reach out in the entire country and conduct it, and that agency is not a professionally sound agency. It doesn't have testing experts, it doesn't have subject
Yes.
experts, it doesn't have teachers at all, neither school teachers
So
nor
if it
university
doesn't
teachers.
have the expertise, yes, Dr. Latika, if the NTA doesn't have the expertise, then perhaps the new body which has been created, which also has the former AIMS director, Dr. Guleria, in it, will be able to answer these questions, that it is not really a fit body, what are the challenges, because of the sheer scale on which this examination is conducted, the challenges particularly keeping in mind the dark web or the dark net, is that being really ignored? But first, a quick update that is coming in from the Supreme Court. The Solicitor General has in fact said that there were 3 centers in Jhajjar. One center received the Canara Bank paper without any issue. In another 2 centers, once the mistake was realized, the wrong paper was taken back mid-exam and replaced with the correct one. Consequently, students claim that they did not get the full time, which was also true. Then why were the grace marks given? Something that has been asked repeatedly. And that discrepancy with regards to grace marks, the government has been saying has been corrected, because there was a retest which was ordered of 1,563 students. Can we expect an order from the Supreme Court today? Because the government is keen on conducting counselling of all those who have qualified, which are roughly around 2 lakh students of the 23 who appeared in these examinations, who will be getting government colleges and also private colleges. And counselling is something that will give them clarity as to which is the college that they will be beginning their, the MBBS course from. We'll try and connect with Sunil Prabhu in just a bit, but a word from Sanchita, who's also joining us. Sanchita, a word from you on what are you expecting in terms of the economic survey? Because I'm looking at what the government had said with regards to when much before the survey was tabled and some data had emerged in the public domain with regards from coming in from the SBI in particular, which had showed that it's not all gloom and doom with regards to the jobs. That the SBI research paper in fact revealed that India had created 4.7 crore jobs in financial year 24.
Thank you so much for having me over. And yes, expecting a lot of discussion on the economic survey that is bound to be tabled in a couple of minutes on actually investments in the job sector, in creating more jobs, in the education system, the healthcare, all of that, which have been lagging vis-a-vis other sectors, which have been opened up in the last 10 years, like defense, manufacturing, and all of that. Yes, so look forward to that. I think what the economic survey, what we expect, and even from the budget, which will be presented tomorrow, would be, first of all, the capital expansion and investment in infrastructure should continue with the government of India. Because let's understand, with every 1 rupee investment into the infrastructure manufacturing, it creates a huge multiplier effect, especially in the small and medium sectors, in the unorganized sectors in the job market. When you quoted the SBI report, that mostly talks about the formal sector, which is the organized sector. There is a lot of layers and deep diving that needs to happen on the unorganized sector, especially in the small and medium enterprises, which are there on the unorganized sector, the microcap companies, and the need to have investment in skill-based, project-based education.
We'll come back to you because we have now got the economic survey, which actually says that the Indian economy is on a strong wicket and stable footing, demonstrating resilience in the face of geopolitical challenges. It goes on to say that the Indian economy has consolidated its post-COVID recovery with policymakers, fiscal and monetary, ensuring economic and financial stability. So certainly it is actually starting on a very, very optimistic note. But a word from Sunil Prabhu, who's joining us from the Supreme Court. Sunil, should we expect a verdict from the Supreme Court today itself, or will this hearing continue?
Well, I think there will be a decision, because I think the Chief Justice of India, as well as his bench, is what it's attempting to do is to find out whether it is a widespread leak or not. Looking at the data, looking at the various investigation reports, the petitioners are putting their points across, and threadbare the Supreme Court is going through that in a very detailed manner. It is trying to convince itself that should the re-examination be done. As the Chief Justice himself said, re-examination is the last option. It seems unlikely at this present stage that they believe that it should be completely redone for 24 lakh students. But the petitioners are continuing to press, showing the various anomalies that have taken place, be it Can Bank or State Bank of India, the leakage process, the 25 students, the investigating process. So all those aspects have to be looked at. And one very critical question that the Chief Justice of India, what time did it get leaked? Because through the various procedures, it's not gone through the strong rooms of the State Bank of India and other banks. It's done prior to that. So it's in that aspect that the Chief Justice and his bench continue to ask questions. Let's hope that today there will be a final order, even though they have sought further clarifications from the Solicitor General and the government and the NTA lawyers.
Yes, and Sunil, the government has shown its intent clearly that they will be beginning the counselling process, and for that the hearing has to come to an end. There are a number of students who are not in favour of re-NEET, a number of petitions in favour of re-NEET, so the House is clearly divided on that side. But if there is a localized leak, what is likely to happen?
Well, when you say localized leak, it relates to your state, Bihar, and then also the neighboring state, Jharkhand. So is it localized? Then there are some people who have come from Rajasthan who have helped to solve the papers. And was this, completely foolproof? These are the question marks. Did they give it to various other students? Did that get viral? These are the various aspects that have to be looked at. And that's the reason why the Chief Justice of India is continuing to ask in his bench searching questions prodded by the petitioners, because these are, as the Supreme Court itself observed, even if there was a 0.01%, 001%, as they said, of a leakage, this is going to affect society. These are future doctors. These are people who have come through unfair means and are becoming doctors today. What will happen to us in the future? They might be treating you and me in the many years to come. And the society at large. This has a huge ramifications, and this, as has been pointed out by the petitioners, has been happening on a continuous basis. For example, the key for the Canfin, where the paper had happened in this Center for Judges, just to give our viewers a viewpoint. That has not been released so far. So these are aspects that need to be looked at. The wrong question paper was given. That might be, confined to one small part, but I think overall the Supreme Court is trying to get a wind of that entire procedure. It's difficult to say whether they'll take a call today, but yes, there is definitely a lot of pressure on the Chief Justice and his bench to take a final call on this matter.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Sunil. So a final call or a final decision likely from the Supreme Court today on the NEET hearing, which is ongoing in the Supreme Court. The Solicitor General has presented the government's viewpoint, and the NTA is being represented as well. We are slipping into a short break. After that, we'll get you details of the economic survey which has been tabled in the Lok Sabha.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पर डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है।
चल एक्टिंग थोड़ा भेल बनो।
पैसाबाजार.com।
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने ये देश के विकास
Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. जनता को decide करना है.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates. Elections mean NDTV.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
So we have now the details of the economic survey which has come in, and we'll try and connect with the reporters who will try and break it down for us. So the details of the economic survey which are there with us essentially talks about how the economy is on a stable and strong wicket. And as far as other parameters are concerned, be it job creation, the economic survey has responded to it. It has also said that there is a surge in agriculture employment, which is partly explained by reverse migration and the entry of women into the labor force in rural India. It has gone on to talk about, it has essentially talked about other aspects, and the private sector capital information has been at a slower pace, but the total number of factory jobs has grown substantially and has grown annually by 3.6% between financial year 14 and 2022. Let me bring in Sanchita. Sanchita, a big takeaway according to you in this economic survey? Sanchita, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. What's the question again?
And I said the big takeaway according to you in this economic survey.
All right. My salient points to take home is yes, definitely. I think the world now recognizes India's stable and strong footing with respect to the economic growth. IMF, World Bank, all of our stakeholders are very, very clear as Indian growth to be very stable and strong despite very adverse global situations. But I think the economic survey, which is being tabled as we speak, breaks down into a lot of aspects of the economy, very critical aspects, which will also be presented tomorrow in the budget date, which is your infrastructure spending, meaningful infrastructure spending, spending on manufacturing, on different aspects of manufacturing, the new age businesses. And also, I think it would ideally be talking about the job creation and employment opportunities. And for that to happen, I have my hopes that they would be talking about investments in education, because let's understand, in India, while formal organized sector, the job opportunities have increased, and that is shown as per the SBI report, there is a lot which is still prevailing in the woods when it comes to the unorganized sector, especially in the small and medium enterprises, in the micro caps, in the unorganized sector. There are pockets of unemployment. In fact, there are pockets of structural unemployment. I was just reading a report a few days back which stated financial services industry, the industry that I'm a part of, had created last year 46.86 lakh jobs, and only 27.5 lakh people were placed, which clearly shows that 18 lakh jobs went vacant because the skill set wasn't there. There's no skill-based, project-based education. So hoping that the economic survey tables this as well, looks at the healthcare investments, the education, along with infrastructure, manufacturing, defense manufacturing, overall growth of the economy.
And another takeaway certainly is that the inflation rate is largely under control. And although the inflation rate of some specific food items is elevated, Sakshi, who tracks Finance Ministry for us, is also joining us. Sakshi, the big takeaways of the economic survey according to you?
That's right. Well, the big takeaway is really the FM tabling that economic survey in Parliament, and clearly the economic survey stating that the Indian economy continues to expand, remains on a strong wicket and a stable footing at large. Those really are the key takeaways. However, the survey also mentions that sustaining overseas investor interest will require some effort. Like you rightly mentioned, also inflation largely under control, although some food prices continue to surge. So really, those really are the key takeaways as far as the growth picture and inflation picture of the state of the Indian economy is concerned at large. Like you mentioned, of course, all eyes on the budget next, and really what will that unfold come tomorrow morning. But clearly stating here that, look, growth is upbeat, inflation is largely under control. Sanchita, your first thoughts, because of course we have been talking about inflation in the last few weeks. Your first thoughts on the acknowledgement on inflation and food prices surging in particular.
Thank you so much, Sakshi. Yes, definitely. I think inflation is something that the government as well as the RBI is very, very watchful upon, because as we did not really predict, the monsoons have been uneven across states. Some states have gotten so far in excess of the monsoon, and some states haven't, are in deficit. So it has been an uneven distribution, which clearly and directly affects the food prices. So yes, I think the central bank would be very mindful of that fact. Budgetary expectations, like you rightly mentioned, along with the economic survey, I have 5 points. I think the government will definitely focus on spending on the capex and the public's capex as well as infrastructure, because every 1 rupee spent on the infrastructure capex would contribute to a multiplier effect. Having said that, the government will also look at elevating more consumption power in urban as well as rural. So rationalization of taxes, understanding that our middle class has expanded. There's a new definition of middle class. We cannot be sticking to old tried and tested definitions of middle class and standard deductions and all of that. There has to be a very good relook at the tax slabs, make it simpler, no old regime, new regime, make standard deductions way more simpler, and also the GST rationalization that will go a very long way in benefiting the end customer. Volume consumption will increase, and that will end of the day benefit the government as well, right? So rationalization of taxes, capital gain taxes, infrastructure spending, focus on education and healthcare. Now, if you're talking about a long road in which we have to double our GDP from 4 trillion economy to an 8 trillion economy, we can only do that if we have skill-based education system, healthcare system, which caters to employment opportunities in the long run.
One important aspect which the government has been largely speaking about is essentially that there are employment opportunities being generated, but it is not being calculated by the CMI data. If you look at one of the points or one of the paragraphs in the economic survey, Sakshi, and if you can add some thoughts to it, it says that the annual survey of unincorporated enterprises for 2022-23, when compared with the results of the NSS, that is NSSO survey, 73rd round of key indicators of unincorporated survey, actually says that there has been an 11.1 overall employment in these enterprises fell from 11.1 crore to 10.96 crore. And there was a reduction of 54 lakh workers in manufacturing as well. But the expansion of the workforce in trade and services gained in jobs limited the overall reduction in the number of workers in unincorporated enterprises. So, this aspect, again, something that the government says is not calculated, as they have used the phrase unincorporated enterprises.
That's right.
How should we be looking at this, Sakshi?
That's right, Maria. Very interesting that you raised that there. I was just looking at that as one of the highlights in the economic survey. And NDTV has been speaking to analysts and economists throughout really the past few months and weeks. And what really is emerging from this is the fact that, look, the organized sector or the formalization of employment is often not factored in. There is a large chunk of employment in the unorganized sector, and that really is not calculated. And more than half the time, economists and analysts believe that if that were calculated, or if there was some way of organizing that, really, things would be very, very different. So that's as far as what analysts and economists have been telling us past few weeks and past few months really. But the economic survey also saying that, look, shocks and not structural forces have influenced employment, and very clearly stating that, look, employment generation is a real bottom line for the private sector. So the acknowledgement there that, look, this is the need of the hour. The private sector has to look at this as something very, very crucial going forward. But the fact that, like you mentioned, more often than not, there is an unorganized sector both in urban and rural parts of our country, and employment there is often not factored in.
And agriculture, as is being pointed out here, Sanchita, come in on this point. The economic survey says that the agriculture sector is one area ripe for and in need of such a pan-India dialogue. Agriculture and farmers matter for a nation, and then it goes on to say that the government offers them a minimum support price, as we know about it, on 23 selected commodities. But agriculture as a farm, can the farm sector be the savior, it says? And a return to the roots is what the policy making should be going ahead. I think, that focus again on farmers will mean, that certainly is reflected with the fact that the person who's helming this ministry is a four-term chief minister who has also handled a crucial farmers' protest which happened in Madhya Pradesh. So Shivraj Singh Chauhan's role becomes important going ahead because there is a spotlight on agriculture, a separate paragraph which has been dedicated to it in the introduction as well.
Yes, I completely agree with you. But cutting across the political narrative, I think what is very crucial in India, which largely depends itself on agricultural produce, agricultural employment opportunities, this increasing trend of going into urbanization because agriculture is not yielding the desired output, is because there is not a uniform policy when it comes to agriculture. I mean, think about it. We have not had agricultural reforms, land and labor reforms since independence. So these reforms haven't yet happened. There needs to be a uniform agricultural policy which is central driven. Now, unfortunately, we have a federal structure. That's why a lot of these policy measures do not really percolate state-wise. But having said that, if one were to actually look at the water crisis situation in India, our dependency on monsoon, our dependency on crops which are taking up too much from the water table without even us looking at or educating farmers on high yield crops, which they can go to for a higher MSP in the market, higher pricing in the market without using so much of the water table. We do not have policies or an education system to address that. It needs to be a uniform, concerted policy so that agriculture can be brought under the same manner way we have gone about with defense manufacturing, the way we have gone about with attracting FDI investments into infrastructure. It has to be very, very policy driven.
Okay. It has to be policy-driven is the point that is being made. Another aspect, Sakshi, let's discuss a little more on the point that has been made here, with that the challenges such as slowing global GDP growth and an all-time rise in trade protectionism can pose a significant downside risk as well. So there is that role that has been highlighted by the government in the economic survey, particularly of the private sector, that they have to focus on removing barriers and implementing steps to boost India's competitiveness.
Absolutely. Maria, important to remember here first that, look, India's economy is outperforming at the moment. Of course, global economies and this challenge, like you said, has been flagged off in the economic survey and is crucial to watch out for. But the fact of the matter is that the economic survey clearly highlighting that, look, India's economy is outperforming. If these sort of ripple effects don't come into play, India can march ahead forward. India's economy also in the economic survey, very crucial there that you pointed out, the agriculture sector. They have said that, look, the agriculture sector can be India's growth engine if, of course, some policies, both from the central and state governments, are looked at in a fresh angle altogether. So very, very clearly that, look, if policies are shifted around, if we take these concrete steps, India's economy, which is already outperforming, can march forward in those aspects as well. And remember, agriculture is a key, of course, player in that, the entire agriculture sector there. So really, the economic survey highlighting that, look, while global economies and, of course, global barriers need to be looked at because, of course, India is not insular to what happens in the rest of the world at large. But the fact of the matter is, if we can sort of navigate through those issues, then India's economy, and look at domestic policies as well. Remember, domestic policies at large play a crucial role, and that's where the spotlight really on the budget comes into play. Several analysts and experts that NDTV has been speaking to have really their eyes and their spotlight on what happens for India's rural economy come tomorrow.
All right, Sakshi, thank you for joining us and breaking down the economic survey for us, and also to Sanchita. With that, it's a quick wrap. News and updates on the other side. We'll be back at 1 from Parliament, this location, as events play out inside the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha.
My dad.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. you can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to.
Welcome back. Let's get to the latest as far as the crucial NEET hearing is concerned. That's resumed its hearing in the top court this morning. And it's the Chief Justice who's gone on to say that the people leak before the May 5th exam date, with also adding that there was no evidence yet as far as a nationwide paper leak is concerned. Now, the government to the court has gone on to say that no major anomalies in that all India data. So this is at a time when, the Supreme Court that has resumed the hearing of the matter related to the NEET exam. Do remember it was a number of petitions that have been filed arguing on the behalf of the petitioners. Of course, this is the NTA that had filed a fresh affidavit to the Supreme Court on Sunday, refuting allegations of a conflict of interest against the IIT Madras director's report. Do remember, in which the centre had relied upon it to deny claims of widespread leak and systemic failure as far as the NEET exam is concerned. The IIT Madras director of the NTA, he is also he was formerly part of the NTA governing body, which also only handles policy matters while the NTA managing committee executes its core functions. So it is the NTA that had filed a fresh affidavit in the Supreme Court of India, refuting any allegations of a conflict of interest against the IIT Madras director's report, which of course had gone on to say that the centre has relied upon to deny claims of a widespread leak and systemic failure in conducting that exam. Of course, this comes at a time when the Supreme Court now is hearing the petitions, and this is we are expecting. This is a 3-judge bench panel which is listening to, is being presided over by the Chief Justice of India, and they're hearing petitions, over 40 petitions seeking the cancellation as far as the NEET exam is concerned. The bench has gone on to say that the paper leak occurred before the 5th of May. And while the NTA has filed an additional affidavit refusing the petitioner's allegations of a conflict of interest as far as the IIT Madras director is concerned, but it was the Chief Justice who had remarked that any order to conduct NEET afresh must be based on solid evidence that the integrity of the entire exam was compromised. The Supreme Court also had directed the NTA to publish the results of all students, city-wise and centre-wise, which the agency released over the weekend. And this is what now the Chief Justice of India has gone on to say. There we have the Chief Justice of India saying that this wasn't something that's happened overall, as far as the overall picture is concerned, the Chief Justice has gone on to say there's no evidence yet of a nationwide leak. So this is also the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, saying that the paper leak happened before the 5th of May, before the date of the exam. It did not happen the day, just hours before the exam. And there's no evidence yet that there was a paper leak that took place across the entire nation, and no major anomalies in all India data is what the government has said in court today. And to know more on this, we have Sunil Prabhu joining us. Sunil, take us through the proceedings in court so far.
Well, they're still continuing as we speak. The Chief Justice of India and his bench asking series of questions to the petitioners as well as the government, looking at the extent of the leak, looking at how that entire operation is done, whether there is a case, as the Chief Justice of India himself made it clear, re-examination is the last option. And he's trying to rule that out and see whether this has been a widespread leak or just a confined leak. And it's in that basis that they are attempting to a great extent to find out the extent of that leakage before taking a final call. Because as you know, lakhs of students are waiting for the Chief Justice of India and his bench, along with the senior counsels, both from the government as well as the petitioners, to finish the arguments and for them to take a final decision on whether a re-examination is required or only it should be localized, and what steps should be taken. There will be, of course, a larger question of how the NTA is functioning and the exam system, which they will address at a later stage, but at present, whether there should be any kind of relief, because, as you're well aware, lakhs of students, their fate is hanging in the balance. There are nearly a lakh of students who are expecting to become and join medical colleges. Their counseling is awaited, and whether this, what is being alleged by the petitioners as a flawed admission test, a flawed entire process, and in which people from coaching centers and others who have had the ways and means to get access through money, question papers, and bring in a faulty system. These are aspects that are being put by the petitioners. The government on its part is trying to say no. Ultimately, it's the Chief Justice of India and his bench who will take a final call on the fate of this examination, on the fate of the students who have written this exam, and what should be done.
Right, Sunil, also an issue that's been raked up during the monsoon session, which began this morning. It is Akhilesh Yadav who's gone on to say that this government will create new records in paper leaks. Students across the country are protesting. Investigations leading to revelations and arrests are being made. But he's gone on to ask, students will not get justice if this minister continues. So the opposition, they're clearly asking for the resignation of the education minister. And Rahul Gandhi, they're questioning the system in itself.
Absolutely. I think these reverberations are, in Parliament, because this is, after all, where democratic institutions have to be held accountable. The executive has to be held accountable. If you recall, the Union Education Minister, when he took over as Education Minister, had said that there was no problem with the exam. At that time, he was just taking over from the office and saying when there are 24 lakhs, these are small skirmishes. That same argument continues even today in the Supreme Court. And that is why, opposition parties, because they have seen this at a very close extent. South Indian, for that matter, Tamil Nadu, had taken the lead right from day one against NEET, because they felt that this is primarily meant for elite coaching centers, people who have access to money, who will be able to do this examination, and they will benefit the most. So it's really in that context there have been pros and cons of this entire process. One nation, one examination. But having said that, we have seen the various question marks that have been raised, not only on NEET, but on various other exam procedures across the country, which has really made young students from 18 to 25 really question the government and the system of how it's functioning. So it's in that context, those reverberations being felt in Parliament and seeking the resignation of the Education Minister, who had initially given the NTA a clean chit.
Right, Sunil, of course, Rahul Gandhi there saying that the education minister has blamed everyone but himself, and it is the education minister who's gone on to say that he's at the mercy of his leader and the government is collectively answerable. But at the same time, you know, he's gone on to say there have been no paper leaks. Sunil, we will keep tracking this story. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, we're slipping away a short break. Back to the middle of markets.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है। बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे। पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने देश के विकास
Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. जनता को decide करना है.
From polling to counting,
Welcome back. Let's get you the latest as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Another terror attack that's taken place this morning. This was an attack that took place at an army camp in which one soldier has been injured in the pre-dawn attack at the army camp in the Rajouri district. This is an attack that's come about just a day after we in fact had this is the security post as far as the Gunda area of Rajouri is concerned, and this attack that took place just at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and the security personnel retaliated to that attack that took place early this morning. And it's the Prime Minister who will be in Ladakh on the 26th of this month to attend the 25th anniversary of the Kargil Vijay Divas. The Ladakh LG said that he would visit the Kargil War Memorial. This is going to take place on the 24th in order to inspect the arrangements for the Prime Minister's visit. Earlier in 2022 also, the Prime Minister celebrated Diwali in Kargil with the soldiers, and also he laid a wreath at the Kargil War Memorial and paid tribute to the army personnel who lost their lives in 1999. So the Kargil Vijay Divas, observed annually on the 26th of this month in India, commemorates the victory of Operation Vijay in 1999. Kargil Vijay Divas serves as a tribute to their sacrifices and reaffirms the nation's commitment to protecting its sovereignty and integrity. Switching tracks now to some sports news, and it's Team India's newly appointed head coach. Gautam Gambhir's equation with India's batting icon has been a subject of intense chatter. We're talking about his relationship with Virat Kohli, and he's gone on to set the record straight by saying that he has an excellent relationship with Virat Kohli and his responsibility is to make a secure dressing room. This is in regard to his relationship with Virat Kohli, and he has gone on to say it's between the two of us and has nothing to do with TRPs.
What kind of a relationship do I share with Virat Kohli? I think it's between two mature individuals. On the field, everyone has got the right, I've said it many times before, everyone has got the right to fight for their own team, for their own jersey, and want to come back in a winning dressing room. But at the moment, I think we're representing India, representing 140 crore Indians, and I'm sure we're going to be on the same page and try and make India proud. And I share a very good relationship off the field, and we'll continue to do that. But yes, to make it more public that what kind of a relationship, I think it's between two individuals. And I've always said that a happy dressing room is a winning dressing room, and happy and secure dressing room. So that's my responsibility alongside the entire support staff to make it a happy and a secure dressing room.
I mean, why Surya was made the captain? Because he's one of the deserving candidates. One we know, I've been around the group over the last year. You get feedback from the dressing room a lot. He's got a good cricket brain. He's still one of the best T20 batters in the world. One of the main issues obviously was you want a captain that's going to or likely to play all the games. I mean, we think is a deserving candidate, and hopefully we'll see over time how he develops into the role. But as regards to Hardik, I mean, he's still a very important player for us, and that's what we want him to be, that player that he can be, because those sorts of skill sets are very difficult to find what he has.
Right, of course, Gautam Gambhir there clearing the air, saying that he has an excellent relationship with Virat Kohli. With that, we're sitting in a very short break. Back with a whole lot more. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Well, it is devotees that are taking a holy dip in the river Ganga on the occasion of the first Sawan. This is the first Monday of the Sawan month. This is these are visuals on your screen of people celebrating the beginning of the festival.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है।
चल एक्टिंग थोड़ा भेल बनो।
ये आया बात जोन। पैसाबाजार.com।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small-scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit incentive to us.
But for a micro or small-scale industry to go up, there should be a hand-holding mechanism which is definitely required.
After a great victory by Indian team, and today we are reporting from Mohali International Airport where we are showing these visuals. Arshdeep हमारे साथ हैं.
बहुत ही performance सही सारे दी थे बढ़िया results मिले.
We are in the city of Kanpur today because they have their champion back home, Kuldeep Yadav.
Desperation for each and everyone to go there and win the World Cup, and we did it.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tables the economic survey in the Lok Sabha. As the survey says, inflation is largely under control, acknowledging a seasonal surge in some food prices. Indian economy is strong and stable but resilient. It's the opposition which is, opposing the NEET situation as far as the monsoon session in the parliament is concerned. Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh Yadav both attacking the education minister and the education system. crucial NEET hearing in top court underway, with the Chief Justice saying that the paper leak happened before, if it did, before the 5th of May, the date the exam was held. And of course, also the Chief Minister has added by saying there's no evidence yet of a nationwide paper leak. Supreme Court hearing on the Uttar Pradesh government's diktat as far as the Kanwar Yatra is concerned. This is the petitioners now saying that the police creating a divide, that is a concern. And also this has never been done before. Remember that eateries along with the Yatra route will now have to display the name of the owner and their phone numbers. Another terror attack has been reported in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district early this morning. This is where one soldier has been injured at that attack that took place at an army camp. And it's Team India's newly made coach. We're talking about Gautam Gambhir, who speaks about his equation with Virat Kohli, which is being speculated by many. He's gone on to say he has a great relationship with Virat Kohli. His responsibility is to make the dressing room secure. The US presidential race is now has a lot of twists and turns coming about just 4 months before the presidential elections, which will be held on the 5th of November. Now, Joe Biden has opted out. It is Kamala Harris who he has gone on to endorse as the Democratic nominee for the presidential election. And it is Donald Trump who has gone on to react, saying it'll be even easier to beat Kamala Harris. Very good afternoon. Let's get you the very latest. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vada. We have Maria joining us from outside the Parliament. Maria, the Finance Minister tables the economic survey as far as the monsoon session is concerned. This is the very first day. The budget will be presented by Nirmala Sitharaman only tomorrow, and this will be quite historic because it will be the 7th time that the Finance Minister will be presenting the budget for the 7th consecutive year. Take us through the key takeaways as far as tabling of the economic survey is concerned.
Yes, and she will become the only finance minister in history of India to present 7 consecutive budgets. In fact, Morarji Desai, who held the previous record, had presented 6 budgets 6 decades ago. So certainly history is going to be made tomorrow. But talking about the economic survey which has been tabled, we are yet to get any reaction from the opposition so far. But the government's picture certainly is all bright and shining. The government here is saying that the India's economy, which started on a strong footing in financial year 2023, has been carried forward in 2024, and that it is because of the capex and sustained momentum which is coming in from the industry. The private sector as well has been given a big thumbs up. As far as the jobs are concerned, the government is saying that the job opportunities have been created as well, and particularly in agriculture space, but in the rural space. Remember, the opposition has been talking about rural distress. It says that because of reverse migration which happened post-COVID and the increase in female participation in the workforce, there is a new scenario emerging also in rural economy. We have Sakshi, who's breaking down the numbers and the details of the economic survey with us, also Sanchita Mukherjee, economist. Coming to you, Sakshi, first, the big takeaways according to you. The government, of course, saying that the Indian economy has recovered and expanded despite the COVID-19 shocks and aftershocks.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, the economic survey clearly stating there, and the big headline and the big takeaway really, that the Indian economy continues to expand. Indian economy is estimated to have grown 8.2% in FY24 as per the economic survey, very clearly stating that, look, India's economy is on a strong wicket and stable footing at large. And as far as growth is concerned, really the picture looks very stable. Now, going forward, of course, we have been talking to analysts and experts as well as economists, and many who were talking talking about inflation concerns. So the economic survey clearly stating there that, look, headline inflation is largely under control. So that's as far as what the survey is highlighting. The survey is also acknowledging the surge in food prices, talking about the fact that, look, some specific food items have witnessed a surge in prices. So that acknowledgement really crucial there going forward. And of course, very clearly stating that, look, efforts must be made to sustain overseas investor interest as well. So, but interesting for, consumers and viewers sitting at home, inflation largely being stable indicates what? Of course, it indicates the fact that lower interest rates could be the path going forward. So that really is stating a very stable picture for India's economy as far as growth and inflation are concerned. Both these, remember, are essential for an economy to go forward, and this survey clearly indicating that. Employment generation, also the bottom line for the private sector, very clearly the economic survey stating there. Now, what does this mean at large? It means at large that, look, once consumption is boosting in an economy, the private sector has to step in, and this really is an indicator of that in the survey. Very clearly the survey also stating that, look, the agriculture sector policies have to be remodeled, reframed entirely if that is to be looked at as a growth engine. So again, a key and a crucial acknowledgement there really in the survey. So all these broad areas really are the key takeaways as far as the economic survey is concerned. Of course, the spotlight really, Maria, on budget tomorrow. And of course, will all these concerns, many analysts and experts NDTV has been speaking to, are all really watching out for what really are the measures taken in terms of policy implementation, taken for rural economy at large, and the agriculture sector at large for India's economy.
Yes, an important aspect which has been put out in the economic survey is also this, that MNREGS demand is not a real indicator of rural distress, but is predominantly linked with the state's institutional capacity, the difference in minimum wages, something that is which is going to be very, very controversial going ahead, because that is also putting onus on various states. Himanshu is with us. He tracks Finance Ministry very, very closely. Himanshu, I'm looking at the big takeaways, and here it talks about that the labor market indicators have improved in the last 6 years because, one of the points that the government is finding it difficult to defend is essentially the unemployment charge that is coming in from the opposition.
Well, I want to just put one fact before you. A former Prime Minister once had said that if a GDP of a country grows by 1% in a financial year, it essentially means for an economy like India, 1 crore new opportunities of employment. So we do know that the IMF latest projection that has come has upgraded the India's growth prospect from 6.8 to 7%. And we do know that in the last 2-3 years, the economy has been growing above 7%. In fact, the economic survey says that last year, the overall the growth was 8.2%. But in 3 quarters of last financial year, the growth was above 8%. So when an economy grows at that high level, which is the largest and the fastest growing economy among the major economies of the world, that essentially means that the prospects for job growth are also high. And that is the projection that you get here. But I would still say, Maria, that a very conservative estimate has been made when they talked about a possibility of a 6.5 to 7% growth, because the RBI Monetary Policy Committee had upgraded the growth prospect from 7% to 7.2% in its last meeting. But the Finance Ministry's economic survey prepared by Chief Economic Advisor and his team of economic advisors have very cautiously also mentioned that
there's
the geopolitical conservatism, because even the RBI's projection is 7.2%.
That's right.
And they are saying 6.5 to 7%. A very realistic assessment, I would say, because they do know that there is still uncertainty in the Middle East.
That's right.
The global supply chain, especially with regard to oil economy, for instance, because these are routes which are very crucial for global oil supply routes, and we import 80% of our crude oil from different parts of the world. So if the global supply chains and the Red Sea corridor, if it gets affected again, and how the militants again are under attack by Western military forces. So there is uncertainty, and I think that has been factored in by the Chief Economic Advisor and his team of advisors.
And here again, we are seeing the mention of EPFO, something that the government has been saying is the real indicator of job creation, not the CMIE data. It goes on to say that the net payroll additions under EPFO have more than doubled in the past 5 years, signaling healthy growth in formal employment as well.
Well, EPFO, as we all know, it's not difficult to understand, is an indicator of how the organized economy is doing.
Yes.
Because when you join an organized sector at a company or an institution, then one of the first things that we have to do when we join a company is to also fill up the PF form. And that is an indication of the fact that in the organized sector, the companies and institutions, what kind of enrollments they're able to do. So this is a very direct, credible data with regard to the white-collar economy, and that is why the government is saying, and the point that I initially mentioned, that if an economy has been growing above 7% for last 3 years, then that essentially is also a reflection of the fact that lots of new jobs have been created. And that is why the EPFO data that you are mentioning is also showing an upward swing.
Okay, continue to be with us. We also have Sanchita. Sanchita, a word from you. You heard what Himanshu's analysis is. It's become quite pleasant here at Vijay Chowk. It's an overcast sky now. So a quick analysis from you on the big takeaways. 5 big takeaways according to you from this economic survey.
Thank you so much, Maria. 5 big takeaways is, yes, that the public capex and spending on infrastructure, manufacturing, PLI schemes, Make in India has really helped the economy in clocking a very high GDP number and having India as a domestic economy on a very stable and a strong footing, which is highly desirable given that the rest of the world is struggling still with high inflation numbers, 2 wars ongoing, and a huge slump when it comes to consumption and consumer sentiment. So Indian economy is actually doing very well thanks to the infrastructure and public capex. And this is actually pushed forward the private sector. We can now see green shoots coming out in terms of private capex coming into play, like private players setting up newer factories and catering to the consumption demand and all of that. So that's one big takeaway. Inflation, definitely, I think the central bank has always been super cautious about uneven monsoon trends and food prices, which also can be uneven. So it's good to be cautionary on that fact. The government has also been very cautious in terms of fiscal spending, and fiscal consolidation has also been the key. So that has kind of helped in the economic stable footing. When it comes to the job and employment numbers and the discussion which was tabled in the economic survey, what is my biggest takeaway is that still a lot of data is very, very underrepresented. There is no conclusive or humongously accurate data when it comes to formal numbers. Definitely there's EPFO numbers, all of that. When it comes
hold
to
on to your thoughts.
sector,
There is a piece of breaking news that is coming in from the Supreme Court. I'm tossing across to Divya. Divya, over to you.
Breaking news coming in as far as the Kawad Yatra is concerned. This is in regard to the Kawad Yatra and the Supreme Court hearing that case as far as government Kawad Yatra diktat is concerned. This is concerning the eateries along that Yatra route to display the name of the owner. Now petitioners are worried. They're saying it's the police that's creating a divide, and they're saying that this has never happened before. So interim order as far as the food stall, this is the Supreme Court's interim order on the food stalls. This is the key Kawad Yatra hearing in the Supreme Court. The notice to the government, whether it's the Uttar Pradesh government, the Madhya Pradesh government or the Uttarakhand government. So the Supreme Court notice to the areas of concern when it comes to the Kawad Yatra. This is that key hearing that's taking place in the Supreme Court. Stays the food stalls labeling order. So now, this is in regard to the food. Who cooks and serves at the restaurant was at the core of the arguments as far as the Supreme Court today is concerned. It heard petitions against the police directive to the eateries along that route in order to display name of owners and the employees to ensure that there was no confusion. So the opposition slammed that move as far as at least 3 allies of the ruling BJP is concerned, including Bihar's Chief Minister, whose support at the centre is crucial. And also we heard Jayant Chaudhary of the RLD and Chirag Paswan as well. What really was said in the Supreme Court today is that you go to a restaurant depending on the menu and not who's serving it. The idea of the directive is exclusion by identity. So it is the petitioners who went on to say that this has never happened before, and it was worrying that the police was creating a divide. So now the Supreme Court has put a halt when it comes to that labeling order as far as the Kawad route is concerned. The food and who cooks and serves at the restaurant was at the core of the argument in the Supreme Court. We have Sunil Prabhu joining us. Sunil, a stay as far as the labeling of those eateries along that Kawad Yatra route is concerned.
That's right. An interim order till Friday. They have issued notices to Uttar Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand and other states, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, and all those states which pertain to this entire issue, as the Supreme Court kept asking who is appearing for the state of Uttar Pradesh. And as Dr. Singhvi and his other counterpart kept arguing in the case, nobody came forward to respond on this matter. Then Justice Harikesh as well as Justice Bhatti talking about their own experiences, passing this interim order, saying that no eatery can be forced, the owner or the employees, to be asked to put these conditions that have been put, for example, by the Muzaffarnagar police, where they have asked mandatory to disclose their names as well as the owner of the itinerary. It's apparently supposed to be voluntary, but there has been no clear clarification. It's just like Aadhaar is voluntary. In the same manner, the Uttar Pradesh government as well as the Uttar Pradesh police have said it is voluntary. But as we have seen all along the road, it has now become and the route mandatory for these fruit sellers, for these eateries to put this out. And it's in that directive that the Supreme Court believes that this infringes on the fundamental rights of exclusion, and that is why they have given interim protection and made it clear that this practice cannot be followed. They will hear the states and their versions on Friday. They have issued notices. Until then, this is an interim protection and a directive clearly saying that this is unacceptable at this present juncture.
Thank you so much for getting us the very latest. Of course, this is as far as that route is concerned. So this is a rule that was being followed, like Sunil mentioned, of a particular eatery in a particular area, which others started to follow suit in regard to information being put out as far as the person who's serving, the owner of the restaurant, labeling the restaurant right outside. Sunil, a huge relief for those eateries and the people along this path. This has never been a problem before, is what was being said in the Supreme Court. The petitioner said that this is what it's really doing, is it's creating a division and not like it's sort of clearing out any sort of confusion.
You raise a very valid and very important point, something that was said by the petitioners themselves, that for time immemorial you have been having people going through this route. Never before have you tried to exclude, have you tried to make an identity of a certain person, a certain community for that matter. And it's in that context that, even the Justice Bhatti pointed out that there was a place of vegetarian restaurant run by a Muslim. And I went there only because of its hygiene and its safety concerns. And that's the reason for why I visited it, even though they were, giving food in this direction. So as you rightly point out, for time immemorial, there have been the Kavariyas who have been going right across the state of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, various parts of northern India. And there has never been such kind of a notice. The Uttar Pradesh police as well as the Uttar Pradesh government in the best, and they weren't present today, so we don't know their reasoning and what is the basis on which they issued this order and made it mandatory for various eateries, for fruit sellers, for various other people to start giving their names. It's in that context now that this has created a new flashpoint, not only politically, as we saw with the NDA allies themselves, from Jain Chaudhary to Praful Patel from the NCP to others asking questions, but the Supreme Court itself now issuing a notice to the Uttar Pradesh police as well as to the Uttarakhand, as well as staying this directive, which is really a piece of paper which has been tweeted out. It says voluntary, but has now become mandatory. But a very, very important decision of the Supreme Court, which will have far-reaching implications. Really, we should avoid politics of the food, politics of identity. After all, India, as the petitioners were pointed out, is inclusive. And this exclusion by identity is something which goes against the fundamentals of the constitution which our founding fathers had laid out.
Right, only creating more confusion and a divide rather than, eliminating any sort of confusion there. We also have Tanish joining us. Tanish, last week the police in Uttar Pradesh's Muzaffarnagar mandated all food joints along the route to prominently display the name of the owners. This being done in order to ensure that there is no confusion amongst the Kavariyas and no allegations are raised in the future leading to a law and order situation. So they said that they are eliminating any ground for confusion. But isn't this really adding to the mix, adding to the confusion?
Yes, of course. Now, the order by Supreme Court, first of all, the order had been, the order by the UP government was already very controversial, and not just opposition, but the BJP allies also, sort of wanted the rollback of the order, including Bihar's, the ally in Bihar, that is JDU. And yesterday, Jayant Chaudhary, a new ally of the BJP, especially here in Uttar Pradesh, said that this order was not needed, and the government, just because they had passed the order, are now staying by it. That's what Jayant Chaudhary said, and Jayant Chaudhary also said that this, of course, creates divide, and this order is not needed at all. That is what the opposition parties, that is what the ally of the BJP RLD said. And not just BJP allies. So first of all, there were BJP allies who were opposing this decision for RLD, JDU, NCP also opposed in the all-party meet NCP also opposed the decision in all-party meet yesterday. And at the same point of time, it is the opposition also that was hitting out at the UP government for this particular order, asking the eateries to display their names along the route of the Kavad Yatra. Samajwadi Party also hit out at the BJP earlier. Congress also did the same. So of course it had become a very controversial order. Now the Supreme Court has put a stay on it, as my colleague Sunil Prabhu was reporting. Now it is required by the eateries to display their names on to display their names. Of course, the Supreme Court has also asked for as UP government and the Uttarakhand government, the states to respond to the PIL that's been filed. But till then, the order has been stayed. That means they are not mandated to display their names. The next hearing is, of course, on the 26th of July.
Right, Sunil, like Tanish was mentioning, the next hearing is only coming up very soon, within days from now. This is just an interim order. It is the Supreme Court that's gone on to tell the police that you cannot compel the display of names. What has really prompted the police to put this order in the first place?
Well, I'm not too sure. That is the reason why, continuously the Supreme Court judges were asking who's there from the UP police. What is the reason behind it? But they remained unrepresented in the Supreme Court. Because notices had to be issued, they went and, the petitioners went and appealed to the Supreme Court. And because of the importance and the fact that people are losing their livelihoods, that's something that was of a great concern. That people were losing livelihoods by this identity politics, if I may be permitted to use the word, by this controversial order. It's in that backdrop that the Supreme Court has stated, because this has far-reaching complications and implications for the country at large. If you start using on the religious routes these kind of practices, to display your mobile number, your name, your various other steps which the Muzaffarnagar police had put, did it have the endorsement of the UP Home Secretary, the Home Minister, the Chief Minister, the Chief Secretary? These are questions should have been asked. They would have definitely, the standing councils were aware that this matter was listed and not once but at least twice or thrice. The Chief Justice, the Supreme Court bench, Justice Hirikesh as well as Justice Bhatti, asking who's appearing to understand the argument. So we don't know what exactly is the reasoning behind this controversial order, but at now there is an interim stay till, of course, they hear this matter and see all concerned states once they hear this entire issue.
Right. Thank you so much, Sunil and Tanish, for joining us with all those details. So an interim stay as far as labelling the eateries along the Kawar Yatra route is concerned, and the next hearing that's coming up on the 26th of July. With that, we're slipping in a short break. Back with a whole lot more. Do stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise. Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. Janta ko decide karna hai.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates. Elections mean NDTV.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app.
Welcome back. Let's get you the very latest as far as the NEET exam is concerned. This did come up in the Supreme Court early this morning, the crucial hearing in the top court. It is the Chief Justice who's gone on to say that the paper leak, if it happened before the date of the exam, which was the 5th of May this year. The Chief Justice has also gone on to say there's no evidence yet of a nationwide paper leak. The government has said in a court that no major anomalies in the all India data. The Supreme Court is now going to resume that hearing at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the Supreme Court hearing the petition seeking the cancellation of the NEET UG exam for paper leak and other malpractices. 40 petitions are being heard. A bench comprising of the Chief Justice of India along with other members on that bench. This is on the previous date that the court had directed the NTA to publish the centre-wise results to ascertain if there was any sort of abnormal spike in performances in the centres, especially the centres where the paper leak is suspected. The bench also indicated that it's likely to conclude the matter, and that's going to be coming up in the Supreme Court. It is going to resume at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's just listen in to what was really said.
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में है, काफ़ी डिटेल में आइटम नंबर 1 था, काफ़ी डिटेल में चर्चा हुई और सारा डाटा जो है वो डाटा एनालिसिस करा गया। सिस्टमेटिक फेलियर्स के जितने पॉइंट्स थे वो सारे पॉइंट कोर्ट को बताए गए। कोर्ट डाटा को ज़्यादा सुनना चाह रही थी, तो डाटा में हमने बताया कि किस तरीके से कुछ सेंटर्स जो हैं और कुछ सिटीज़ ने जो है वो आउट परफॉर्म करा है। पर कोर्ट ने साथ साथ एक क्लैरिफिकेशन मांगी है जो लंच के बाद हमें देनी है कि इसको हम जो कुछ सेंटर्स जो आउट परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं उसको हम लीक से कैसे कनेक्ट करेंगे, क्योंकि कोर्ट ने कहा है कि प्राइमरी मुद्दा जो है वो लीक है।
We have Sunil joining us on the phone line. Sunil, from what we hear, what was really said in court is that the Chief Justice has asked, how do you establish that the paper leak was all over the country?
That's right, and that's the reason why the Chief Justice of India will continue to hear this matter and take a final call. They're trying to find a conclusion today, one way or the other, and that is the reason why they'll hear. They've heard the NTA, the final arguments will, the petitioners, the final points will be given by them, and then post-lunch, they will hear the Solicitor General, and hopefully, as I've been talking to you about the fact that 24 lakh students, in particular, 1 lakh students who are expected to become doctors, who are waiting for their counseling, and the various facilities are looking at how things will play out in terms of their counseling and what the Supreme Court decides. So that is something that the Supreme Court seems clearly in terms of approach, in terms of the way it wants to proceed and finalize after hearing all sides to take a final decision one way or the other, whether re-examination is required or just that it has been, as the Chief Justice of India said, re-examination is the last option. Is it just confined to some places, and how to look at this entire issue, which has become a huge cause of concern for parents, students, coaching centers, and the whole cross-section of this country who are awaiting the verdict from the Supreme Court.
Right, Sunil, also Dharmendra Pradhan, the Education Minister, came under an all-out attack from the opposition demanding his resignation today in Parliament.
That's right, led by the leader of opposition, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who asked this question and saying, frankly, I don't think even the Education Minister himself understands not being able to get a proper answer. Those reverberations being felt in the Supreme Court, in Parliament, because everybody is concerned at this present stage. Students are very, very worried. As we are talking about, these are future doctors. And if somebody has got through unfair means, it has a huge repercussion, because tomorrow you can be treated by them and or society at large, and these have huge implications as a country. So it's definitely something that needs to be looked at, and that is why it's been reflected by the opposition as well as others on the floor of the House through a question, during question-answer session in Parliament today.
Right, Sunil, let's just listen into what Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh Yadav had to say about the NEET paper leak, and also how is the Education Minister defending himself.
The issue is that there are millions of students in this country who are extremely concerned at what is going on and who are convinced that the Indian examination system is a fraud. That is what is at stake here. Millions of people believe that if you are rich and if you have money, you can buy the Indian examination system. And by the way, and this is the same feeling that the people in the opposition have. And that is why we are asking some very simple questions to Honorable Minister. Number one, as this is a systemic issue, what exactly are you doing to fix this issue at a systemic level?
Yes. अध्यक्ष महोदय, मुझे बैकग्राउंड में नहीं जाना है कि कब कैसे किस संस्था को बनाया गया है। पूरे देश के छात्र इस पे आंदोलित थे। लगातार अखबार और सीबीआई की जांच के बाद चीज़ें सामने आ रही हैं, लोग पकड़े जा रहे हैं, जेल भेजे जा रहे हैं। मैं अध्यक्ष महोदय आपके माध्यम से पूछना चाहता हूं मंत्री जी से, क्या सेंटर वाइज जिन बच्चों को सबसे ज़्यादा नंबर मिले हैं, क्या उसकी सूची जारी करेंगे? 30,000 सीटें जहां हैं, कई सेंटर अध्यक्ष महोदय ऐसे हैं जहां 2,000, 2,500 बच्चे पास हो गए हैं। सरकारी सीटें 30,000 हैं। कई सेंटर्स में 2000 से ज्यादा पास हो गए। कई प्रदेश के ऐसी जगह है जहां पर कुछ सेंटर से 600 से 650 से ज्यादा सबसे ज्यादा नंबर हैं।
There is no evidence of paper leak in last 7 years in any numbers. So there are incidents. Already this case, right now, Speaker sir, this case is going in front of Honorable Supreme Court. All the things has come out. Every question has put in front of Supreme Court. Honorable CJI is personally presiding over that bench, and with full responsibility I can say, in last, after NTA, more than 240 examination has been conducted, more than 5 crore students has been applied, and more than 4.5 crore students successfully participated in the examination. These are all fact and records. Whenever accountability comes, my government is collectively answerable to that.
And we have my colleague Aishwarya Jain joining us on the phone line to get us the very latest. Aishwarya, we just heard Dharmendra Pradhan, the Education Minister, say that he's at the mercy of his leader and that the government is collectively answerable.
Well, certainly it is, of course, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan who has said that NTA has conducted more than 240 exams and there is no evidence of paper leak in the past 7 years. In fact, it is the government who had faced with an all-out attack by the opposition parties over the NEET draw and questions on whether he has considered resigning. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said that he is on the post at the mercy of my leader and the government is collectively answerable. It is also which has come from the centers to allege paper leaks in competitive examinations. It was, remember, Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav who stated that this government will create new records in paper leaks, to which it was stated that in the 7 years there had been no paper leak. Mr. Pradhan also stated that the results have been public as per the Supreme Court's direction, and he categorically also stated that he don't want to do politics over it, but he has a list of how many paper leaks that happened when Akhilesh Yadav was in charge as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. Also, there was an scathing attack from the opposition benches that came in from the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi. And Rahul Gandhi stated inside the parliament that it is obvious to the whole country that there is a very serious problem in our examination system. The minister has blamed everybody except himself. I don't think he understands the fundamentals of what is going on here. It's something that Rahul Gandhi stated inside the parliament, to which a befitting reply was given by the education minister. And he stated that, that he has the support of the people in his constituency and does not need any certification of intelligence from anyone in the parliament. These are all lies which will become truth. And certainly, repeating the lies certainly doesn't mean that will convert into the fact. So certainly war of words erupted and the political political parties clearly had stated inside the parliament that government should be answerable on the entire NEET controversy. But certain answers had been given by the Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan on the first day of the budget session of the parliament.
Right. Of course, Aishwarya, we're also, hearing, what is really being said by Rahul Gandhi as far as the first day of the monsoon session, the parliament is concerned. He said there's a problem with the system itself.
Well, certainly it was leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi who stated that there is a systematic failure. The examinations had been compromised, to which responding to the opposition's allegations, the education minister also stated that the NTA has conducted more than 240 exams and over 5 crore students have appeared in them. There is no evidence of the paper leak in the last 7 years, and center is hiding nothing as far as the paper leak is concerned. Although the opposition parties also stated that it should be education minister who should take responsibility and should resign from his post, but it was stated by the education minister that he is not at the mercy of any leader. He is at the mercy of his leader. Whenever accountability comes, the government is collectively answerable to that, and every answer is being given as far as the questions that were raised, just not inside the parliament but outside the parliament as well. But certainly it is also, among the BJP's tallest leaders, the party who have been ministers, and he's been drawing fire, remember, for the last couple of months as far as NEET paper scandal is concerned. But today all answers were given as far as the zero-hour questions were concerned. It was Congress and other opposition parties who raised the questions on the NEET issue, but answers were given on every question that was raised inside the parliament today.
Right, Aishwarya, of course, the Education Minister there holding his ground, saying that the NTA has conducted more than 240 exams and over 5 crore students have appeared, and there's no evidence of paper leak in the last 7 years. This at a time when there are so many arrests that are being made in the leak of that NEET exam, and that hearing is underway. So a very interesting, to know what really comes out of it. That case that is going to resume at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the Supreme Court. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for joining us with those details. We'll be back with the very latest on the other side. For now, we're slipping into a short break.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small-scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit incentive to us.
But for a micro or small-scale industry to go up, there should be a hand-holding mechanism which is definitely required.
हमारे साथ हैं वो परफॉर्मेंस सही सारे दी ते बढ़िया रिजल्ट्स मिले.
We are in the city of Kanpur today because they have their champion back home, Kuldeep Yadav.
Desperation for each and everyone to go there and win the World Cup, and we did it.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones.
Welcome back. Let's get you the latest from West Bengal and the West Bengal Legislative Assembly to pass resolutions on the NEET issue and 3 new criminal laws in the monsoon session. So this is the West Bengal government as far as the NEET issue is concerned, and the Mamata Banerjee government to bring about resolution in the Assembly resolution. This is the NEET issue which is going to be coming up in the monsoon session. As far as West Bengal's government is concerned, they will be bringing up resolution on 3 criminal laws. So the West Bengal Legislative Assembly Speaker had summoned a special session of the Assembly. This is a special session of the Assembly that will be for the functioning of the House. This is the latest that is coming in. It is the West Bengal Speaker that's called for a special Assembly session amid oath taking route. This is the statement from the Speaker that's come amid the ongoing issue over the swearing in of 2 newly elected TMC MLAs, and this is a decision on the pending swearing in ceremony of the MLAs that could be taken in the special session. So this is the latest that we are getting in regard to West Bengal, and this is the swearing in ceremony and the issues regarding that. Of course, also the NEET issue, also in regard to other issues that will be coming up, and that is in regard to the resolution on the 3 criminal laws. So the West Bengal Legislative Assembly Speaker has we have Saurabh joining us to get us more on this. Saurabh, take us through what can we really expect during this monsoon session.
Issues that clearly have been highlighted. One of them is, of course, a resolution on the NEET impasse, and this is something that's been a countrywide issue, and several opposition-ruled states have also, have been taking the forefront in sort of having their own viewpoint also put forth on how the NEET fiasco has unfolded. Tamil Nadu is one state to have already done so, but also now you have the West Bengal Assembly also choosing to pass a resolution on this. Apart from that, what you also have is the 3 criminal laws. Now, the West Bengal government has set up a committee to review these 3 laws, and this is something that the Chief Minister has already written letters about, the implementation of the 3 new criminal laws. And with these issues already dominating the Parliament session as well, we can see it also play out in the respective state legislative assemblies. Now, we've seen how the NEET has been a dominant topic during this Parliament session, and the West Bengal Assembly also no different. But of course, the viewpoints here of the majority are very different from what it is in Parliament, though obviously these are things that will be discussed, and these resolutions are expected to be passed between Monday and Friday, including a resolution first on the NEET impasse, the NEET fiasco, and then also on the NEET, and then also on the 3 criminal laws, apart from other discussions that will take place in the West Bengal Assembly as well.
Right, thank you so much, Saurabh, for getting us all those details. And now the monsoon session of the Parliament that started this morning. All eyes are on the Modi 3.0 budget. It is the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman who will be presenting the budget tomorrow. The Finance Minister tabled the economic survey today, and now we are expecting her to, in fact, be presenting the budget. And this is going to be historic because this is the 7th consecutive time that the Finance Minister will be presenting the budget, breaking all records there. The previous record held by Morarji Desai of presenting 6 budgets, and it is Nirmala Sitharaman who will be presenting 7. This will be her 7th finance budget that she will be presenting for the 7th consecutive time.
ये बजट सत्र है। मैं देशवासियों को जो गारंटी देता रहा हूं, क्रमशः रूप से उन गारंटियों को जमीन पर उतारना, इस लक्ष्य को लेकर के हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। ये बजट अमृतकाल का एक महत्वपूर्ण बजट है। हमें 5 साल का जो अवसर मिला है, आज का बजट हमारे उन 5 साल के कार्य की दिशा भी तय करेगा। और ये बजट 2047 जब आजादी के 100 साल होंगे, तब विकसित भारत का जो हमारा सपना है, उस सपने को पूरा करने की मजबूत नींव वाला बजट लेकर के हम कल देश के सामने आएंगे।
Let us see the economic survey. Basically, they delayed. It could have been come before the parliament election. Anyway, let us see the economic survey. Then we will comment on that. There are lot many issues are there. NEET issue is still burning. NEET issue. Lot of controversies coming on the issue of publication of the results also. And the divisive agenda is already emerging, like Kanwar Yatra I told you. Jammu Kashmir is still having serious problems. Price rise is there very much. This type of, then Agnivir scheme issue is there. We ask the demand. There are a lot of burning issues are there. All the issues will be taken up.
Right, so of course it is Nirmala Sitharaman who will be presenting the budget tomorrow, and this is the finance minister who tabled the economic survey in Parliament today and described the Indian economy as being on a strong wicket and stable footing and resilient in the face of geopolitical challenges. We'll get you all the very latest on the other side of a short break. Welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise. Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. Janta ko decide karna hai.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates. Elections mean NDTV.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism.
Welcome back. Now, another terror attack has been reported in Jammu and Kashmir. This is from the Rajouri district. A fresh attack that's taken place after the army chief's visit. A major attack has taken place at the army camp in Rajouri district at about 4 o'clock this morning, in which one soldier has been injured. And now Prime Minister Modi will be in Ladakh on the 26th of July in order to attend the 25th anniversary of the Kargil Vijay Divas. The Ladakh LG said that he would visit the Kargil War Memorial in Dras on the 24th of this month to inspect the arrangements for the Prime Minister's visit. Earlier in 2022, the Prime Minister celebrated Diwali in Kargil with the soldiers and also laid a wreath at the Kargil War Memorial and paid tribute to the army personnel who lost their lives in 1999. The Kargil Vijay Divas, observed annually on the 26th of this month, commemorates the victory of the Operation Vijay in 1999. Switching tracks now, Team India coach Gautam Gambhir has spoken about his relationship with Virat Kohli. It has come under a lot of chatter when it comes to the relationship that the two share. But it is Virat Kohli's relationship that Gautam Gambhir has gone on to speak of and says that it is a great rapport that he has, a great relationship that he has, and his responsibility is towards making the dressing room secure.
What kind of a relationship do I share with Virat Kohli? I think it's between two mature individuals. On the field, everyone has got the right, I've said it many times before, everyone has got the right to fight for their own team, for their own jersey and want to come back in a winning dressing room. But at the moment, I think we're representing India, representing 140 crore Indians, and I'm sure we're going to be on the same page and try and make India proud. And I share a very good relationship of the field, and we'll continue to do that. But yes, to make it more public, that what kind of a relationship, I think it's between two individuals. And I've always said that a happy dressing room is a winning dressing room, and happy and secure dressing room. So that's my responsibility alongside the entire support staff to make it a happy and a secure dressing room.
I mean, why Surya was made the captain? Because he's one of the deserving candidates. Yeah. One we know I've been around the group over the last year. You get feedback from the dressing room a lot. He's got a good cricket brain. He's still one of the best T20 batters in the world. One of the main issues obviously was you want a captain that's going to or likely to play all the games. I mean, we think he's a deserving candidate, and hopefully we'll see over time how he develops into the role. But as regards to Hardik, I mean, he's still a very important player for us, and that's what we want him to be, that player that he can be, because those sorts of skill sets are very difficult to find what he has.
And with that, we're slipping to a short break. My colleague Kitty will be here with the very latest. Do stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
And take a look at these visuals of devotees taking a holy dip in the Ganga River on the occasion of the first Monday of the Sawan festival. These are visuals on your screen coming from Uttar Pradesh.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit incentive to us.
But for a micro or small scale industry to go up, there should be a hand-holding mechanism which is definitely required.
After great victory by Indian team, and today we are reporting from Mohali International Airport where we are showing these visuals. Arshdeep हमारे साथ है. बहुत performance सही सारे ने बढ़िया results मिले.
We are in the city of Kanpur today because they have their champion back home, Kuldeep Yadav.
Desperation for each and everyone to go there and win the World Cup, and we did it.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Hello and welcome to India Sense.
where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Our $7 trillion economy sees.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Top Court pauses UP Kawar Yatra order. UP government had asked eateries to display their owner names. The Supreme Court says that the police cannot compel the owners to display their names on the Kawar Yatra routes. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tables economic survey in Lok Sabha. Economic survey pegs growth at 8.2% in financial year 2024 and between 6.5 to 7% in financial year 2025. The survey says inflation has been largely under control and the Indian economy is strong and stable. Huge showdown in the parliament over the issue of NEET paper leak. Rahul Gandhi as well as Akhilesh Yadav attacked the government, saying that it was unprecedented. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said that there was no nationwide paper leak. Amid crucial NEET hearing in top court, the Chief Justice says the paper leak is believed to have taken place before the original May 5th exam date. Chief Justice says no evidence yet of the nationwide leak. Team India coach Gautam Gambhir on equation with Kohli says he has excellent relationship with Virat Kohli and it's his responsibility to make a happy and secure dressing room. It's a turning point in the US presidential race. Joe Biden has withdrawn from US presidential poll race and has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. My name is Kitty Behel. We're starting this edition with some big breaking news that is coming in. We're learning the BJP now has called a key meeting in New Delhi. It's a two-day meeting of organizational heads from different states that has been called. This meeting comes ahead of the crucial state polls that are due to take place this year. This is an important meeting now that has been called in the national capital. The BJP has called all its state heads for this meeting. The meeting will continue for about 2 days, we are learning, in which some important decisions are expected to be taken. Well, remember the state polls are going to take place this year for various states, and before that this is an important meeting now that has been called by the Bharatiya Janata Party. This two-day meeting is going to start from Thursday. On Thursday and Friday we are learning that the meeting is going to take place. What all decisions are going to be taken in this meeting, that remains to be seen. But there are speculations there could be a major organizational and organizational rejig in state units. Now what we are learning that number of states could get new chiefs as well, and ahead of the elections now, this important meeting will be taking place on Thursday and Friday. This is a two-day meeting, as we've been saying, with an eye on the assembly elections. Now the BJP is expected to make some big changes. Remember, the BJP did not get a good response in the Lok Sabha polls, and the recently concluded Lok Sabha elections, the party did not really perform well. And we are learning, according to the information that's coming in, this is in view of the changes that are expected to be made in the state units. This meeting has been called on July 25th and July 26th. This meeting will take place. However, we are yet to get more details as to what is expected in this two-day meeting that is going to take place. That is the latest coming in at this point in time. All right, big breaking news now coming in at this point in time. Well, ahead of the assembly elections now, two-day meeting has been called by the Bharatiya Janata Party, which will take place on July 25th and 26th. And as per information that is coming in at this point in time, this meeting has been called of the BJP state heads from different states, and a big rejig is expected to take place. However, what all decisions are going to be made in that 2-day meeting, that remains to be seen. But as per the information that we are getting at this point in time, this is the latest that we have. Well, big breaking news at this point in time, that is coming in. Remember, the BJP did not really perform well in the recently concluded Lok Sabha elections, and ahead of the state polls, now this important meeting has been called by the Bharatiya Janata Party. All right, shifting our focus now to some more news that we're tracking at this point in time. The Supreme Court has put Uttar Pradesh government order on Kanwar Yatra on hold. The Supreme Court has put an interim stay on the UP as well as Uttarakhand government diktat asking shops to display the owner names. Notices now have been issued to Uttar Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand governments, and they've been asked to reply by July 26. Well, the Supreme Court has also said that the police cannot compel the owners to display the names, and the shop owners shouldn't be forced to display their names. Shops must only display whether the food is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Well, my colleague Sunil Prabhu joins us on the broadcast, getting us more details. Well, Sunil, this definitely comes as a setback to the UP government as well as the Uttarakhand government over the diktat that was ordered by the specific state governments on the Kanwar Yatra.
That's right. This is after, of course, petitioners making a very, very strong point to the Supreme Court bench headed by Justice Hirikesh as well as Justice Bhatti to say that this infringes on the personal rights against the Constitution and this has religious overtones. The fact that you are trying to exclude people by identity in terms of religion is something that has far-reaching consequences and have a huge impact across the country because if every state starts doing this, then it will have wide-ranging implications. And it's in that context, after the Supreme Court kept asking who is appearing for the Uttar Pradesh government, and there was no lawyer ready to come out and stand up for it, that it decided to pass an interim order, issued notices to all the states concerned, and will then take a final decision on this when it hears this matter on the 26th, that is the coming Friday, to decide on this matter. But interim, no eateries can be forced, even though they say, the Muzaffarnagar police had said that it's voluntary. Subsequently, as Mr. Singhvi pointed out, this is a camouflage order. It is in that context that the Supreme Court says that such kind of orders along the route of the Kavariyas is definitely not acceptable and has stayed that decision, and nobody can be forced to do so.
All right. Thank you so much, Sunil, for getting us all those details there. Well, the matter is going to be heard on July 26th. Next, this is an interim stay on the order by the UP government on the asking the eateries along the Kanwar Yatra route to display the owner's name. Now, the court has said that that providing only vegetarian food to the devotees is the objective here. So, the shops must only display whether the food is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, and the police, no authority can compel the shop owners to display their names. Let's listen into reactions that have come in after this court order. We'll also have guests joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party and political analyst Desh Ratan Nigam will also be joining us in just a bit.
I have always been saying that this order, this directive actually, which was issued by the police of Uttar Pradesh, is unconstitutional. It promotes untouchability, which is a violation of Article 17. It discriminates only the Muslims, which is a violation of Article 15. It snatches their livelihood, which is a violation of Article 19. And what is this that you're promoting only one religion, one ideology?
ये विभाजनकारी है समाज में, संविधान की मंशा के खिलाफ है, रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन के खिलाफ है। ये समाज में विभाजन पैदा करेगा, सिर्फ धर्म के आधार पे नहीं, जात के आधार पे। ये शेड्यूल कास्ट को, बैकवर्ड को, वीकर सेक्शन को, उनको मौका नहीं देगा जो अपना व्यापार कर सकें। जिनको जो खाना है ये उन पर छोड़ देना चाहिए, वो स्वेच्छा से खाएं, पिएं, कहाँ से लें, क्या करें, ये उनकी इच्छा होना चाहिए, किसी सरकार की नहीं। मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के इस निर्णय का, अंतरिम आदेश का स्वागत करता हूँ।
मैं सभी शिव भक्तों को शुभकामनाएं देता हूं, अभिनंदन देता हूं। आज श्रावण मास के पहला हमारा सोमवार भी है, उसकी भी शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और सभी का हम देवभूमि उत्तराखंड हरिद्वार आगमन पर सबका अभिनंदन करते हैं। सबकी यात्रा अच्छी हो, सफल हो और उसके लिए उत्तराखंड सरकार ने हमारे सभी प्रकार की व्यवस्थाओं को करने का प्रयास किया है कि आपकी यात्रा अच्छी हो। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आपकी यात्रा अच्छी होगी, सफल होगी, भगवान की कृपा आप पर बनेगी।
All right, I'm also being joined by Tanishq, my colleague who's with us on the broadcast here, getting us more on the political development, the activity that has taken place in the recent days over this order issued by the UP government and then the Uttarakhand government as well. Tanishq, we've seen how politics had erupted over this issue, not just the opposition asking the UP government to roll back the order. It was the BJP allies also, including the RLD, Chirag Paswan's party, as well as the JDU coming forward and asking the UP government, its ally, BJP, to take back the order.
Yes, of course, very rightly said by you, it was just not the opposition that was hitting out at the BJP, at the UP government for this particular order, but also the BJP allies of the neighboring state as well, that is Bihar, where Chirag Paswan and the JDU also, hit out at the UP government, and also the allies of the UP, that is the RLD, which have a very strong influence over the western UP, over the western Uttar Pradesh, and especially in Muzaffarnagar. RLD has a very strong influence. Jayan Chaudhary's party has a strong influence in Muzaffarnagar. So of course, not just the opposition, it was not just the opposition that hit out at the BJP, but also the allies demanded a rollback of this. Now, the Supreme Court has, of course, put a stay on this order, and said that nobody can force to put anyone's name now on the eateries along the Kawad Yatra route, and the next hearing is of course on 26th of July. But as of now, we are yet to get a response from the government side, what they think about it, what they say about the stay on this particular order. But yes,
Tanishq,
the politics did definitely heat up.
Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari. I'll come back to you, Tanishq, later. Let me go across to Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari here of the Samajwadi Party, as well as Mr. Deshratan Nigam joins us on the broadcast as well. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, if I could come to you first. Well, the Samajwadi Party, we do understand, had already raised objection to the UP government order, asking the eatery owners to display their names on the Kawad Yatra route. And now, the Supreme Court, this is an interim stay, of course. The order of the UP government has been paused for a brief while. On July 26, we do understand the hearing will take place. How do you see it now?
Good afternoon to you, my fellow co-panelists and the viewers. There are three important things. One is that everyone in the country with a sane mind, with a mission of life which is on harmony, believes that this order of the Supreme Court is constitutional and does justice to the unjust, diabolical policy brought out by the UP government and then later followed by Uttarakhand government. That's point number one. Point number two, the attachment that BJP has towards any agenda of hate is visible in this. One district comes up with a bizarre policy. The entire state chooses to adopt it. The entire media that section of media that harps on BJP's line and propaganda starts debating on it. The nation is suddenly distracted from important issues of infrastructure failures, of exam paper leaks, of several other things. Our brave soldiers fighting it out in Kashmir. The nation is distracted from that agenda and Hindu politics. This is what BJP wants. Any agenda of hate that emerges from one district becomes a national agenda. And third, the cowardice of Bharatiya Janata Party governments, that if you cannot put a lawyer in Supreme Court, you cannot even defend what you want to say, shows that you are there only for empty propaganda. You do not have the courage or conviction on your own ideals.
Okay. All right. Mr. Deshratan Nigam, what's your view? What's your opinion on the recent government order? The top court has clearly said that only providing vegetarian food is the objective here to the devotees, and the shops must only display whether the food is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, not the name of the owner. And seeing this order also in the backdrop of the fact that not just the opposition but the BJP allies also had raised an objection to the UP government order, asking it to roll it back. How do we see the court order now?
Ms. Kitty, let me make it very clear
that police do not have the authority to issue such kind of an order.
Absolutely.
And this order did not have any statutory backing. However, the appropriate authority under the FSSAI Act and the Street Vendors Act have the powers to issue such directions. Therefore, the argument in the court was that the police's order does not have any statutory backing. So if a fresh order comes under those two acts I have talked about, and also under the freedom of professing religion and given under the Constitution and the Consumer Protection Act, this would be then a valid and constitutional order. I believe the UP government must withdraw this police order because it does not have a statutory backing. The statutory backing will come if the order is issued by the appropriate authority under the acts that I have mentioned. Therefore, it is very, very important who issues the order. Therefore, Supreme Court looked into the matter that police does not have the power. Otherwise, the state government under the acts have the power. If the appropriate authority issues it, withdraws this order, issues a fresh order, then it will be a valid and constitutional order.
The directive has been, yes.
The right to information as to what I am eating is also a part of right to profess my religion. I require a sattvic food, Vaishnav food, which is offered to God before eating. These are the requirements of the vegetarian sattvic food, and it is my astha or my faith and my feeling that should not be heard. I am not discriminating, but I have a right to know where I am going because this is for a
absolutely. Do you not think the Supreme Court, when it says that whether the food is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, that is the only thing that must be displayed in front of the shops? Is that not enough? Why did the government really have to say, pass this directive saying that the names of the owners must also be displayed? That is the bone of contention here.
See, this is by the police commissioner. He doesn't have the power to do it. And the scope of SSAI Act and the Street Vendors Act was not even there before the court to argue upon. Nobody has even given these arguments. The state did not appear. They would have brought out these things. Probably after the Supreme Court's direction, they'll apply their mind and think afresh on this subject, because how the food is prepared is also my astha. It should not be halal. It should not be halal food that I am consuming on my dharmic yatra or Kawad yatra. It's very important. Therefore, the food which even a Muslim prepares, even if he prepares in a vegetarian form, does he offer to a god before Hindu gods before offering it to the people? All this is my faith, my astha, which the Constitution permits me under the professing my religion. So it's very, very important, because my feelings, my astha, my faith is also important. I'm not discriminating anybody. Even after
that is what the top court has also clearly said. There should be no discrimination. That is what the opposition parties have also been raising. That there shouldn't be any sort of discrimination here. Mr. Desh.
Let me
Okay, please complete your point.
There is no discrimination. Once an informed choice is there, even if after that a person wants to eat wherever he wants to, he is free to. These are secular orders, but it has to be issued by an appropriate authority. Since the orders were not issued by appropriate authority.
Okay, Mr. Deshrathanigam, I won't have much time. I'm really sorry to interrupt you there. I have to get a quick response from Mr. Tiwari. Mr. Tiwari, please go ahead. What do you have to say?
Kitty, it's very clear. BJP had no business to distract the country at a time when they are creating massive failures in governance. From the internal security, national security in Jammu and Kashmir, to the failing infrastructure, to the trains that face accident, to the exam paper leaks, to the jobs, to all the way the airport crashes, the airport leaks, everything is visible. At this time, if the top leadership of BJP backed this order that they could not stand for in the court, shows how coward the policymakers in BJP have become in face of the challenge.
Okay, so Mr. Tiwari, you are saying what you are maintaining here is that the BJP, of course, did not have any representative. The government, of course, did not have any representative in the court, and it shows their cowardice. That is what you're saying. But Mr. Deshrathanigam here says that this is a matter of astha, and you're saying that the matter has been politicized. It has been brought in order to cover up other issues here. All right. Different viewpoints here. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Mr. Deshrathanigam, and as well as Mr. Tiwari here for joining us on the broadcast here. Thank you so much for your time here. Meanwhile, we have some more news now coming in. This is from Haryana, we are learning. All right, we'll go to that. Before that, it's time for a short break here. More continues on the other side. We'll be right back.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने ये देश के विकास
Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. जनता को decide करना है.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates. Elections mean NDTV.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small-scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit incentive to us.
But for a micro or small scale industry to go up, there should be a hand-holding mechanism which is definitely required.
Welcome back after the break. There's some breaking news now coming in. NCP Chief Sharad Pawar has met Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. We're learning this meeting comes right before the state polls are to take place later this year in Maharashtra, and this is an important meeting that has taken place. Well, all eyes are on the state elections, but this meeting has taken place between Sharad Pawar and Eknath Shinde. And what really happened there in that meeting, we'll try and get more details. This comes just a few days after there was mass defection from the Ajit Pawar camp to the Sharad Pawar camp, and now Sharad Pawar meeting Eknath Shinde at this point in time. What's really cooking there? We'll try and get more details about this. Well, my colleague Radhika is now joining us on the broadcast here, getting us more details. Radhika, what more details are coming out about this meeting that has taken place between Sharad Pawar and Eknath Shinde? All right, Radhika will be joining us in just a bit. We'll try and get more details about this at this point in time. That is the latest coming in. All right, big breaking news at this point in time coming in. NCP Chief Sharad Pawar has met Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, and this meeting also comes at a point where we're learning there are speculations also that after the mass defection from Ajit Pawar camp to Sharad Pawar camp, there could be more people from Ajit Pawar's party joining the Sharad Pawar camp. A lot is happening in Maharashtra at this point in time. Sharad Pawar had also sent feelers to Ajit Pawar to return to his camp, but how this really plays out, what really happens in the coming days, that is something that is being keenly watched. But this is the big breaking news coming in. Well, state polls are going to take place in just a few months in Maharashtra, and before that, this is an important meeting that has taken place between Sharad Pawar and Eknath Shinde. That's the picture on your TV screens of that meeting that has taken place. However, what was the agenda of this meeting? That is still unclear. We'll try and get more details about this in just a bit. Well, the first photograph has come out of this meeting that took place between Sharad Pawar and Eknath Shinde. The meeting had taken place today itself, just a while back. However, what was really discussed in that meeting, that is still not clear. We'll be getting more details in just a bit. Radhika, my colleague, is now joining us on the broadcast. She is getting us more on that. All right, Radhika, what more details are coming out at the moment about this meeting that took place between Sharad Pawar and Eknath Shinde?
That's right. Interesting developments as far as Maharashtra politics is concerned. Sharad Pawar, NCP Supremo, meeting Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde. Of course, as far as agenda is concerned, what we are made to understand is that this meeting is over Maratha reservation row. We know for a fact that there had been a stalemate as far as Maharashtra reservation row is concerned. There is no clarity as far as state government stand here is concerned. Maratha community had been fighting for a reservation under OBC category. However, OBC community not very happy as their reservation will be diluted. So there had been a face-off of sorts between Maratha community as well as OBC community, and this is something that will be discussed as an all-party meeting had been called last week as well, which was not attended, in fact, which was boycotted in a sense by the opposition. In fact, Chief Minister Eknath Shinde as well as several within, Mahayuti wanted the presence of Sharad Pawar to sort of discuss this issue and also arrive at some sort of consensus and an opinion from a senior leader like him. However, he had not attended the meeting, post which, of course, Chhagan Bhujbal had visited Sharad Pawar in order to understand, the stand of the opposition as far as this entire reservation row is concerned. Of course, this is what has been officially said, that this is on Maratha reservation. But is there more than meets the eye? That remains to be seen. Absolutely. As there are murmurs of many within Shinde Sena and NCP Ajit Pawar wanting to switch sides to the MVA ahead of assembly elections.
Absolutely. That is something that is going to be keenly watched, what really happens with on that front. Of course, Radhika, thank you so much for getting us all those details there. Well, shifting our focus now, the union budget will be presented in the parliament tomorrow, and everyone from the middle class to corporates, salaried employees to farmers will be watching to see what is in the budget specifically for them. Provisions in the budget could also improve support, accessibility and overall quality of life for those with disabilities. Listen in to disability rights advocates talk about their expectations from this year's budget.
As far as allocation for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act's implementation is concerned, I think right now the allocation is quite low as compared to the need of the hour, including on creation of accessible infrastructure. Second, more avenues for disbursement into different areas so that the implementation can happen at a faster pace. Third, also to modernize Court of Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities and the State Commissioners for Persons with Disabilities so that they can deliver more path-breaking judgments and there is a greater compliance. As far as aids in assistive technology is concerned and the GST implementation is concerned, honestly speaking, even today when you kind of purchase any assistive technology, it is expensive because of the various duties and taxes that it is subjected to. So either removing such taxation or having schemes wherein person with disability can purchase the assistive technology as per their choice and in a suitable budget which is subsidized by the government would be the approach to take.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Enough.
After great victory by Indian team, and today we are reporting from Mohali International Airport where we are showing these visuals. Arshdeep हमारे साथ हैं.
The performance सही सारा नहीं थे बढ़िया results मिले.
We are in the city of Kanpur today because they have their champion back home, Kuldeep Yadav.
Desperation for each and everyone to go there and win
World Cup, and we did it.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
All right, Economic Survey 2024 has been tabled in Parliament, a comprehensive review of India's economy at large, the big picture on growth, inflation and jobs. While the spotlight is clearly on the Union Budget 2024-25 come tomorrow, but what really are the budget basics? What must be top priority tomorrow? But before we get to that, we will of course introduce our guests who are joining us for this special segment on the highlights of the Economic Survey. We have Sanchita Mukherjee, business economist, senior economist Mitali Nikor. Both of you, thank you very much for joining us and for your time. First, the Economic Survey talking about jobs. On jobs, the Economic Survey says India needs a tripartite compact. India, of course, needs to reboot the mission to skill altogether, must equip Indians to catch up and get ahead of tech evolution. Shocks and not structural forces have influenced employment. Employment generation real, as far as employment generation is concerned, they must be, the bottom line really must be for the private sector, it says. Lack of availability on timely data on absolute number of jobs created at large. So, of course, we will look at what each of these, the Economic Survey is saying as far as jobs are concerned, what it is saying on growth. But, before we get to that, let's talk about jobs at first. Sanchita, jobs really impacting and, job creation really a key concern there. And the Economic Survey saying India needs a tripartite compact. What do you make of this? Government, private institutions, as well as academia must come together in a sense.
100%. Sakshi, when you talk about such an important and a crucial point like tripartite, let me give you certain statistics. For example, in the financial services sector, the sector I belong to, there was a report I was reading that close to 46.86 lakh jobs were created last year. However, only 27.5 lakh jobs were actually fulfilled because 18 lakh jobs just did not have the skill-based people who were applying. The skills were not there. So it's not that the jobs were not there, but the people with the requisite skills were not there. Now, this is known as structural unemployment. So what typically happens is when for the last 77 years, you've only focused on traditional education, right? Education which is not skill-based, it is not project-based, it is not employment-based, it is not focused on the new age employment opportunities, then what happens? There's a lag, right? You do not have the requisite number of people who have the skills for the same kind of jobs where employment opportunities are being created. So it's very important for government, for think tanks, for private sector, for educational institutions, for investment in educational sector to happen in a tripartite manner, for Indian citizens to have this kind of a skill-based approach for long-term job creation. And this is not something that can be done in 5 years. This is a very long-term story. But if we have to move from a 4 trillion economy to an 8 trillion economy in 7 to 8 years, which is the vision, we really need to be thinking out of the box. And I'm happy that the economic survey has actually tabled this tripartite approach towards job creation.
Right, Mitali, do you agree a fresh approach really needed as far as job creation is concerned? The survey also talking about the need to really skill and equipping Indians to catch up and get ahead of tech evolution.
No, absolutely, Sakshi. I think what is amazing about this economic, survey as a whole is that after many years, there are few challenges, which can be threats to our growth that have been very clearly highlighted. And what has been very clear is to recognize that we need to take steps today to overcome these challenges. And of course, the skill gaps are a major issue that are being highlighted because, as Sanchita rightly said, industry is coming and telling us, as we are talking to so many industries, they are coming and telling us we have open vacancies. We want to hire not only men, but we want to hire more women. But we are not finding qualified women, who can do these jobs. Because there is a gender intentionality also that is now coming up in the MSME sector and in the industries. The second issue that, is coming up very clearly when it comes to job creation is also around private investment, which was very clearly highlighted again in the economic survey that, of course, the ease of doing business has been improved. There's clearly, a number of clearances that used to be required that has been improved, and industry is also appreciating that. But over and above the ease of doing business, one also has to look at the overall investment climate. And the investment climate is not only influenced by India, but by a global economy. And I think that is where the economic survey clearly realizes how India needs to, step into global supply chains. And there's a very big chapter in the economic survey on India's, sort of entry into global supply chains. And I think that's a very forward-looking chapter because, you're realizing that India's private investment is linked to global trends. And I think the third area, which I really commend the economic survey on, is recognizing the challenge of inflation being driven because of food inflation, specifically tomato and onion prices, and also recognizing the role of climate change in that, because we do know that unseasonal rainfall, unseasonal droughts, they also impact inflation. And there's a clear recognition in the economic survey that we need to surmount these challenges.
Right, Sanchita, the survey also saying that, look, employment generation, real bottom line for the private sector at large, and the lack of availability of timely data on absolute number of jobs created, very clearly highlighted in the economic survey.
That's right. Sakshi, in fact, what I would like to commend Mitali on was she's right in stating that, a lot of heavy lifting has now been done for the last 10 years by the government in terms of capex. Public capex. When I say public capex, is the amount of government spending which has happened in infrastructure, in manufacturing, in PLI, in bringing in Make in India, all of these which have actually helped in large job creation in manufacturing, in MSME sectors and all that. If I were to see certain data which has happened, the Udgam registration of MSMEs, 20 crore MSME jobs were created last year, which is already a 66% jump from the others. But having said that, what really needs to happen now is private capex. Private industry now has to do a bit of heavy lifting. The government has done quite a bit and is, expected to do so in the budget which will be tabled tomorrow. However, having said that, we are already seeing private capex coming in. And if private capex adds to more factories, more industries which are being set up by private players, this will ensure a definite healthy growth further in job and employment situation, especially in the MSME sector.
Right. Thank you both very much for sharing your thoughts. We do now have to cut across live to a press conference on the economic survey that has been tabled and that we were just discussing.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. Just a personal declaration. We didn't organize the rain to make it difficult for you to come here, so but we welcome it, like all of you would, given the temperature we have been facing for the last several weeks. And thank you for being here. This morning, Mint very helpfully reminded me of what I wrote in the interim economic review in January. I had spoken about global factors, the introduction of artificial intelligence, the need to balance energy security and energy transition, and of course the imperatives of employment and skilling. Now this economic survey actually picks up on those themes. And more importantly, it tries to identify the areas and actions that we need to take such that these 4 important challenges can be addressed as best as possible. In some sense, this survey picks up on the theme that all hands on the table must be there, and no economic approach will be exclusionary or will be excluded. We need manufacturing, we need services, we need agriculture, we need the public and private sectors to act together. We need union and state governments to act together. Because given the way the global conditions are evolving, we don't have the luxury of picking and choosing specific approaches in our path towards Viksit Bharat, and that is the overall theme of the survey itself. First, the global outlook. You can see on the charts here that both merchandise trade volume and industrial production growth have steadily come down in terms of the averages over the last 20 years or so. Somewhere between 5 and 10%, they have come down to between 0 and 5, and now they are struggling to even stay above the 0 line. So in general, global growth and global trade volume growth will be difficult to come by. And therefore, the way we can grow our exports will not be because the trade pie is growing, but because we have to grab market share in terms of competitiveness and quality, etc. And second factor, there is global protectionism and a sense of nationalism just in time giving way to the idea of just in case. Security dominates efficiency. Supply security dominates supply efficiencies. And you can see that in the last 3-4 years, protective actions have actually moved up very, very sharply, trade protective actions. And the reasons cited are on the right side: competitiveness, climate change mitigation, national security, geopolitical compulsions, concerns, etc. But this is going to be with us for quite some time. So we need to be mindful of that. And then the climate challenge and geopolitical fragmentation. We will be speaking more about the climate challenge later on in the presentation. It is about balancing, as I have written also many times in the last 2 years, it's about balancing economic development and also energy transition. But let's remember, historically, energy transitions have not happened in a single generation. Václav Smil has written a lot about it, and especially with so many countries going at it together. I can have it here. Especially with several countries attempting net zero at the same time and trying to achieve energy transition, it is going to be a major issue in terms of resource availability, etc., etc. And then when it comes to geopolitical fragmentation, we are seeing it every other day as well. And this chart on the right shows you how much the mention of geopolitical fragmentation is happening in corporate earnings releases and announcements and so on and so forth. From a bipolar to unipolar to multipolar world and different blocks emerging, etc., it is something that will be with us for some time. So these are the 4 headwinds that did not, for example, affect East Asia. Japan, East Asia, or China, when they were making their transition from lower income to higher income countries, they didn't have to face these headwinds. From 1979 to 2015, China, for example, did not have to worry so much about geopolitical fragmentation, climate challenge, and global trade. Globalization was at its peak. So we have to now chart our path to Viksit Bharat amidst these headwinds. That is why domestic growth becomes very, very important. Now we first quickly go through the state of the economy, where we are, which is covered in Chapter 1 of the Economic Survey. There is momentum in the economy. In fact, we are now 1 quarter in the new financial year, and even high-frequency indicators are telling us that the economy is carrying on the momentum that we have seen until the end of March 2024, when we grew at 8.2%. So the average growth rate in the last 3 years up to March 24 has been around 8%. And as we write in the survey, real GDP is 20% above the pre-pandemic levels. And the growth has been contributed to by a steady maintenance of the share of private consumption. Capital formation is beginning to recover as we would expect post-COVID and post-balance sheet repair. And exports are doing quite well under the circumstances as well. Of course, some of you might say this adds up to more than 100. But that is to remind you of the fact that it is not subtracting imports here. So otherwise, this is not net, it is not net exports, it's only exports, so it's a gross number. And investment is being driven by not only by public sector capital formation. Both union and state governments have clearly been spearheading the capital formation. But let me also tell you that private capex has been growing. Private capex has recovered after the stagnation or decline we saw in 1920 and 2021. They did pick up in 21-22 and 22-23. Of course, some of you might go into the granular details available and say that private capex formation picked up strongly in the dwellings aspect and not in the machinery and equipment and intellectual property products, but even that post-COVID. So because if you look at the national income data, you can see the breakdown of private capital formation into these 3 components: dwellings, machinery and equipment, IP products, etc., intellectual property products. The recovery is beginning to come through in the latter 2 areas also, which is what exactly will be driving higher quality jobs. And household savings in physical assets has improved, and we have written enough about it. Households are not in distress. Households actually are investing in financial assets, which have done very well. Especially in the last 4 years, the foray of retail investors into stock markets through systematic investment plans, through mutual fund investments, has been quite prolifically documented. And our national income data do not record these at market prices. And that is the reason why there is a feeling that financial liabilities have grown faster than financial assets of households. But financial assets of households are not marked to market. So households are doing quite well in the aggregate. And if you also see the default statistics of small ticket loans, etc., they do not flag any signs of distress, and I have also written about them in occasional columns, etc. When it comes to the agricultural sector, which is the topic of a usual special chapter, and also a box item in the economic survey in Chapter 5, of course, the food grain production in crores of tons, 329 million tons, slight decline compared to the previous year because of the erratic monsoon. And also, let me tell you that this year, we will see a chart later, the monsoon is not exactly proceeding as the IMD told us before the monsoon season began. And while MSPs have been ensuring remunerative prices, we also need to encourage crop diversification with our MSP policies going forward. And that is why I would like to draw your attention to the box item in Chapter 5 as well. Industrial production, you can see a broad-based acceleration in all possible areas for the FY24, 9.5%, recovering very smartly from the overall growth of 2.1 in FY23. And the PLI schemes so far have garnered 1.28 lakh crores of investment, exports boosted by 4 lakh crores,